Suralvo, Mexico, a tough little town about 50 miles south of the border. It's a world away from Sugarland, Texas. And that's just fine with the American stranger who suddenly lands here looking for work and a new identity.
He caught my attention because he was different. A güerito, a young white guy.
It was a very unusual thing because you don't see American workers right here in a little town in Mexico.
Osvaldo Benavides and his close friend Ubaldo Salinas quickly accept the likable man who says his name is Rudy Rios.
He told me his name was Rudy. He was a nice person.
But their newfound friend is no Rudy at all. He's Bart Whitaker, prime suspect in the ambush of his entire family back in Texas.
He told us he was a soldier.
That was my legend down there.
Bart's cover story is designed to explain the wounded left arm and erase his true identity.
I was a soldier that was AWOL because I had been shot up and didn't want to go back. That was something that was told from the very first minute I was down there in order to cover me.
Alias Rudy Rios, Bart begins turning up at church and turning on the charm for a guitarist he meets there, Cindy Lou Salinas.
He would bring me flowers. Look, I brought you flowers. I thought he was so handsome. And I don't know, mysterious.
She brings her new boyfriend home to meet her parents. He's an immediate hit. Her father, Homero, even hires him to work at the family's furniture store.
I ended up loving him like a son. Very, very much.
Did you love them back?
Yeah, we were very close.
Cindy Lou knows nothing of her boyfriend's true identity. But one night she gets a terrifying glimpse. It's what he says while consoling her after she smashes her guitar during an argument with her mother.
He said, no, relax. Let's fix things. He said, don't be angry at your parents anymore. If you want, we can kill them.
She feels fear that night, but it makes no sense. Like Bart's father, she feels she knows him better than that. But by now, even Kent Whitaker is beginning to believe the worst.
When he ran away, it kind of kicked the third leg out of the stool, that he must actually have been involved. By that point in time, I'm thinking it's pretty hard for me to extend any potential arguments against it.
Sugarland homicide detective Sergeant Marshall Slott needs no convincing. But more than a year after the murders, he still has no physical evidence, no clue who fired the murder weapon, and no idea what happened to Bart Whitaker.
I had nowhere to look for him and no leads to follow up on to try and find him. So that was disappointing at times.
He scours Bart's SUV and townhome at a country club north of Houston, where Bart lived while he was pretending to be in college. All to no avail. He interviews Bart's roommate, Chris Brashear, and a close friend who lives 2 doors down, Steve Champagne. The investigation is cold until...
Almost 2 years after the crime occurred, Stephen Champagne called me.
In the biggest break of all, it turns out the neighbor, Steve Champagne, has a conscience, and it's eating at him. He has a terrible secret and a confession to make that involves both he and Bart's roommate, Chris Brashear.
When they came in the house, Chris was to shoot them all.
That was absolutely the break we needed.
Champagne gives up the entire story of what happened on the night of December 10th, 2003.
What was Bart's part in the plan?
Pretty much set it all up. He was trying to get them all together kept saying for his graduation from college.
We got ready for dinner and went to dinner. And Stephen followed us in the car to make sure that we went there.
How did you know which restaurant?
Bart had told me before they left.
As the Whitakers unknowingly celebrate Bart's bogus college graduation, Steve Champagne watches from the parking lot. Meanwhile, Bart's roommate, Chris Brashear, hides in Bart's SUV outside the Whitaker home.
At that point, Chris got out of the vehicle and entered the house with the key and the alarm code.
Did you see them leave, Papa Douglas?
Well, yeah. So then I pretty much followed them home. They pulled in the driveway, and I just kept going, just around the block, behind, like 1 block over.
Mm-hmm. And that's where you stopped and turned off the car and waited about a minute?
Right. And And then a minute, Chris came walking like out to the car and got in the back seat. He said that Bart's brother had walked in first, and when Chris shot him, he said before he shot him, he thought he smiled. And then Chris shot his mom, and then shot Bart's dad in the shoulder. And then he acted like he wrestled around with Bart and shot Bart in the shoulder.
Unaware of Champagne's confession, Chris Brashear agrees to an interview, but quickly becomes very uncomfortable.
I'm just gonna go. Is that
sure.
right?
There's the door.
To Sergeant Slaught, Steve Champagne's confession yields the one thing that links this trio to the crime. He mentions a key piece of evidence that only the police know about: a single glove dropped by the shooter and found beside Bart's SUV.
We knew about the missing glove, and obviously we had this glove in evidence already. So everything fit together just based on one small piece of evidence.
But Sergeant Slaught still has no physical evidence to link Bart to the murders until now.
Stephen Champagne explained to me that he and Chris Brashear had thrown items from the crime scene into a bag and thrown that off of the bridge that runs over Lake Conroe near Bart's townhome in Willis.
Sergeant Slaught described sending a dive team to the lake. It's a long bridge, but on their third attempt, divers come up with a duffel bag.
It was back over here underneath the bridge, between the third and fifth pylon in that general area, in about 20 foot of water.
In the soggy bag, a treasure trove of decomposing evidence. It's a windfall for Crime Lab investigator Max Hunter, beginning with an innocuous-looking plastic water bottle.
You just go around the rim of the bottle.
And even after 2 years in the bottom of a lake,
they were able to obtain a DNA profile from that swab, and that DNA profile matched the DNA profile from Chris Brashear.
Among the other items in the bag, a rare brand of ammunition identical to the fatal bullets, a glove that matches the one found at the crime scene, a pry tool that matches the marks on the Whitaker's safe, and a badly damaged cell phone. A high-tech data reconstruction process at a lab in the UK identifies Bart Whitaker as the owner. Finally, Sergeant Slaught has the physical evidence he needs to link Bart to the murders.
This is the eureka moment.
This was definitely when we said, we've got it.
But where is Bart Whitaker? Sergeant Slaught obtains an arrest warrant, but he does not know that Bart, now known as Rudy Rios, is hiding in Mexico. And then the biggest break of all, a phone call from the real Rudy Rios.